So then they sort of go through interactions. This again, some of this is a bit less applicable in the specific setting of the church, but is maybe more applicable in other situations. So if with people who are immediately at risk of detention from ICE, you can and should provide any Know Your Rights information you have, which I'll go over at the end of this. But you should not give people legal advice or like tell them what they should do. And additionally, if the person, if you're like going to court with somebody and they haven't had their case diagnosed and don't have a lawyer, as a side note, you should refer them to us because we can help people find attorneys, but again, not so applicable here. You should not act as a go-between between ICE and somebody who's at risk of detention, because that, like, it sort of counts as directing that person's action or speaking for them. You're not their lawyer, and your purpose in that situation is to record what's happening. Additionally, it's important, oh, this is sort of not relevant to this. Sort of relatedly then with ICE, you don't want to like negotiate on behalf of the person who's at risk of detention, in large part because it can end up being more harmful to them. It can also be harmful to you because it can be construed as you're like obstructing, which is unfortunately a felony. And similarly, sort of this is talking about like the issues of getting between ICE and somebody who's detained. So we, in this role, when we ask people to accompany other folks, we say that we are not asking people to get between ICE and somebody who's at risk of detention. We're not asking you to like block ICE's action. There are places and times for that sort of action, and this is not me condemning that in any way, but only to say that like when we send people to do accompaniment, slash I think if ICE were to show up here and you were the only person there, you are most useful in trying to record everything that's going on. And that said, I think one of the big tenets that we tell people is like to do things to your own level of comfort. So if you feel like you're okay with standing 2 feet away and being told to back up and you'll back up a little bit, etc., that's fine. If you don't feel comfortable standing closer than 10 feet away, that's also fine. That said, ICE will tell you have to back up till you're like 50 feet away, and that is definitely, you don't have to do that, and they can't, you will not like get in trouble for obstructing if you're 5 to 10 feet away from them. But I would say exercise, you know, caution and understand your own comfort levels, because it can be stressful to be really close to law enforcement. This is just a little bit about the sanctuary ordinance and the CSA, which is essentially that, like, you should keep an eye out for the Providence police if they do happen to be like present at the time of the night section. Obviously that's not, there's nothing wrong if they are present, but just to ensure that they are not like clearly aiding ICE in any sort of action. That's slightly different, obviously, outside of Providence. In terms of the media, I'm sure you all have your own like ways of that you're choosing to relate to the media. When we send folks to do accompaniment, we ask them not to speak to media about anything. They can say what their role is, but beyond that, like, you know, not talking about the person, obviously, who they're accompanying, not like speaking on behalf of a more, etc. But because mostly like this, in a role of accompaniment or ICE watching, like the purpose is to really try to get as much footage as possible, and try to like get as clear of a picture of the situation as possible, and not to be doing the like publicity which can come later.